8ാം ക്ലാസ്സിൻ്റെ സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസ് സെക്കൻഡ് ചാപ്റ്റർ ദ റിവർ വാലി സിവിലൈസേഷൻസ് അതിലെ നോട്ട്സ് ഒന്ന് പരിചയപ്പെടാം. വർക്ക്ഷീറ്റ് പൂർത്തിയാക്കാനും അധ്യാപകർ തരുന്ന ചോദ്യോത്തരങ്ങൾ പൂർത്തിയാക്കാനും എക്സാമിന് ഒരുങ്ങാനും ഈ വീഡിയോ നിങ്ങളെ സഹായിക്കും. ആദ്യം കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത് ഒരു ടേബിളാണ്, ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ദ ബ്രോൺസ് ഏജ് സിവിലൈസേഷൻസ്. ഇതിനകത്ത് ഏകദേശം എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. 4 റിവർ വാലി സിവിലൈസേഷൻസ്: ഇൻഡസ് വാലി, ഈജിപ്ഷ്യൻ, മെസോപ്പൊട്ടോമിയൻ, ചൈനീസ്. റിവർ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്, ആർട്ട് ഓഫ് റൈറ്റിംഗ് ഏതാണ്, ഒക്കുപ്പേഷൻ ഏതാണ്, സ്കൾപ്ചർ, ഹാൻഡിക്രാഫ്റ്റ്, ഇതൊക്കെ ഇതിനകത്ത് നൽകിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ സയൻസ്, മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സ് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, കലണ്ടർ, ഇത്രയും കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇത് നമുക്ക് ചാപ്റ്ററിൻ്റെ അവസാനം നോക്കാം. Why do we call the civilization existed in Harappa's Indus Valley civilization? The civilization existed in the valleys of river Indus and its tributaries. Hence, this civilization came to be known as the Indus Valley civilization. Prepare a note on the early excavations in the Indus Valley regions. The first excavation was conducted in Harappa in the present Pakistan, led by Dayaram Sahni. It was R.D. Banerjee who led the excavations in Mohenjo-daro in the present Pakistan. Why do we call the Harappan civilization Bronze Age civilization? The Indus Valley civilization is an example of a Bronze Age civilization. Substantiate. The people in Harappa made tools and weapons using bronze. Since bronze was widely used in the Harappan civilization, it came to be known as Bronze Age civilization. What is the key feature of Harappan cities? The key feature of the Harappan cities was the use of hard burned bricks. Mention the features of parts of the Harappan cities. Higher part. The part of the city to the west was higher. It was used by the administrators. The ruins of a big building, probably an assembly hall, were discovered here. Lower part. The part of the city to the east was lower and was inhabited by the common people. The ruins of many buildings that might have been houses were unearthed here. Mention the features of houses in Harappa. Houses were built along both sides of planned streets. Some houses had only one room, whereas others had more rooms, a courtyard and a well. Every house had a toilet. The drainage system was another feature of these cities. Evaluate the statement. The wastewater from the houses was let out into the drains. These drains were connected to the main drain of the street. The drains were built of burned bricks and covered with stone slabs. Effective drainage systems existed even in small towns and villages. What were the features of the Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro? It is an evidence for the architectural skill of the people of that period. It was built entirely with burned bricks. What hints about the social and administrative system can be obtained from the ruins of the Harappan cities? The social and administrative system can be obtained from the structure of the Harappan cities. The higher part was an administrative area. The assembly hall might be used by the administrators. The effective drainage system is also an example of effective administration. The structure of the lower part is an example of their social life. Houses seen nearby reveals their social life. Discuss and prepare a note on the importance of personal and social hygiene maintained by the people of the Indus Valley civilization. The effective drainage system is an example of their personal and social hygiene. Every house had drains and it was covered using stone slabs. Every house had their own toilet. They used the water from their well. Examine the role played by the villagers in the existence of the Harappan civilization. The urban folk depended on the villages for food and work. The villages were the major market for the urban products. The villagers cultivated agricultural products like rice, wheat, barley, millet, sesame, pulses, cotton, etc. for the Indus Valley people. The Harappan Granary speak many things about the administrative system of that period. What are they? The surplus agricultural products were stored in the granary. The grains collected in the form of revenue were also kept there. The grains thus stored were made available to the public. Such granaries are the evidence for the existence of an effective administrative system. This reveals the fact that there existed a strong administration in Harappa which collected the excess grain and stored it for future use. The administration was efficient because there was a control over the storing of food grains. What are the evidences that signify the trade relation of the Harappan people? Weighing and measuring tools have been unearthed from here. The inscriptions discovered from Mesopotamia mention their trade relation with Meluha, Harappa. The Mesopotamian seals found from Harappa also provide evidence for this trade link. The clay models of sailing ships obtained from Lothal prove their maritime trade link. The seals widely found from the Indus Valley sites were probably used for the purpose of trade. The bronze tools used also reveals their trade relation with Afghanistan and Central Asia for tin. Explain the features of life in the Indus Valley cities. The key feature of the Harappan cities was the use of hard burned bricks. The cities Harappa, Mohenjo-daro and Lothal all had two parts, higher part and lower part. Houses were built along both sides of the planned streets. The drainage system was another feature of these cities. The urban folk depended on the villages for food and work. In addition to agriculture, animal husbandry also existed. The surplus agriculture products were stored in the granary. What are the major handicrafts that prevailed in the Indus Valley civilization? The Indus people made seals, clay figures, utensils, ornaments, etc. Pottery was made in the kilns. Animal figures, figures of men, women, and carts were molded from clay. Copper, bronze, and gold ornaments were made. Beads were made. Bangles were made from clay, bronze, and tortoise shells. The artistic skill of the Harappans is reflected in the seals they made. The seals were made from clay and stones. The statues of the dancing girl found from Mohenjo-daro is also an example for their artistic skill. Whether occupational groups existed in Indus Valley. The diverse handicraft hint at the existence of occupational groups. There existed clay modeling, ornament making, pottery, seal making, etc. reveals the existence of occupational groups in Indus Valley. The artistic skill of the Harappan people is evident in the seals they made. Explain with example. The artistic skill of the Harappans is reflected in the seals they made. The seals were made from clay and stones. Figures of animals and humans were carved beautifully in these seals. These seals revealed their artistic skill. Write a brief note about the following. Agriculture in the Indus Valley. Evidence of cultivation were unearthed from the Indus Valley, especially from Rangpur and Lothal. Rice, wheat, barley, millet, sesame, pulses, cotton, etc. were cultivated in the fertile alluvial soil of Indus Valley. In Kalibangan, in Rajasthan, plows made of clay were discovered. Farming was done by plowing the land. Canals were constructed for irrigation. B. Animal husbandry. Animal husbandry existed in the Indus Valley. Plenty of animal bones have been unearthed from here. The figures of rhinoceros and elephants made of clay have also been found. They reared ox, goat, pig and sheep. C. Trade. The weights and measures, seals, clay models of sailing ships, etc. unearthed revealed that trade existed in the Indus Valley. The agricultural progress led to surplus production and storage of grains. Accurate weights and measures were used for exchanging the stored products. The Mesopotamian seals found from Harappa also provide evidence for this trade link. Lothal was one of the centers of maritime trade. The seals widely found from the Indus Valley sites were probably used for the purpose of trade. D. Belief systems. The seals, clay figures of women, figures of men, the great bath, etc. provide information about the then belief systems. Clay figures of women proved the existence of worshipping the mother goddess in connection with the fertility of the soil. The figures of men found from here are the early form of Shiva, the proto-Shiva. They also worshipped animals and trees. The great bath unearthed in Mohenjo-daro might have been used for religious ceremonies. List out the causes of the decline of the Harappan civilization. Flood, external invasions, deforestation, decline of agriculture sector, epidemics. Egyptian civilization. Who was Pharaoh? The kings of Egypt were known as Pharaoh. What is mummy? The practice of preserving the body of the dead prevailed in Egypt. A corpse preserved thus is called a mummy. What is pyramid? Pyramids were tombs where the mummies were preserved. What were the other features of the Egyptian civilization that existed in the Bronze Age? This civilization flourished in the valley of River Nile. Agriculture was the backbone of this civilization. The Egyptians also engaged in weaving and production of glassware. They formed hieroglyphics, an art of writing. The Egyptians attained amazing advancement in the field of science, mathematics, and sculpture. Mention the features of art of writing existed in Egypt. They formed an art of writing known as hieroglyphics, which means sacred writing. They used the leaves of the plant called papyrus for writing. Papyrus ചെടിയിൽ നിന്നും എങ്ങനെയാണ് പേപ്പർ നിർമ്മിക്കുന്നതെന്ന വീഡിയോയുടെ ലിങ്ക് താഴെ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷനിൽ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. കണ്ടു മനസ്സിലാക്കുമല്ലോ. Egyptians were skilled in various fields substantiate the statement. They formulated a solar calendar. As per this calendar, a year had 365 days. A year was divided into 12 months of 30 days each. The remaining 5 days were set aside for celebrations. Their advancement in the field of mathematics is also significant. They could calculate the area of triangles and rectangles. To determine time, they made sundial, a clock that tells time by the shadow cast by the sun, and water clock that works on water current. The Egyptians were also skillful in sculpture. It is evident from the Sphinx, a statue with a lion's body and human head. Mesopotamian civilization. Mention the features of Mesopotamian civilization. The Mesopotamian civilization flourished in the land between the rivers Euphrates and Tigris. The word Mesopotamia means the land between the rivers. The Sumerian, the Babylonian, the Assyrian, and the Chaldean, etc. were the four different civilizations existed here. The fertile soil of Mesopotamia helped agricultural progress, and that led to trade and growth of cities like Ur, Uruk, and Lagash. The Mesopotamian system of writing is called Cuneiform. They achieved remarkable progress in the field of mathematics and astronomy. They formulated a calendar based on the movements of the moon. They divided a year into 12 months, a month into 4 weeks, a day into 24 hours. They knew division, multiplication, and square root. The construction of temples, namely ziggurats, is the evidence of the amazing architectural skills of the ancient Mesopotamians. Mention the features of art of writing existed in Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamian system of writing is called cuneiform. The script was wedge-shaped. They were written on the smooth surface of wet clay tablets. ഇതെങ്ങനെയാണ് ക്ലേ ടാബ്ലറ്റിൽ എഴുതുന്നത്? വീഡിയോയുടെ ലിങ്ക് താഴെ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷനിൽ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ആശയങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കാനുള്ള ചെറിയ വീഡിയോകൾ, അതുപോലെ സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസ് ഷോർട്സ്, സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസ് സപ്പോർട്ട് വീഡിയോസ് എന്ന പ്ലേലിസ്റ്റിൽ നൽകിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവരും അത് കണ്ട് മനസ്സിലാക്കുക. A sharp stylus was used for writing. The tablets were then baked in the sun. Most of these tablets were related to trade. Prepare a note on the achievements of the Mesopotamians in the field of science, mathematics, and astronomy. They achieved remarkable progress in the field of mathematics and astronomy. They formulated a calendar based on the movements of the moon. They divided a year into 12 months, a month into 4 weeks, a day into 24 hours. They knew division, multiplication, and square root. Prepare a note on the achievements of the Mesopotamians in the field of architecture. The construction of temples, namely ziggurat, is the evidence of the amazing architectural skills of the ancient Mesopotamians. They were constructed in cities. They were built on artificial hillocks using bricks. Chinese civilization. Mention the features of art of writing existed in China. The Chinese civilization flourished in the valley of the river Huanghe. Agriculture was the base of this civilization. They were also skillful in weaving, making pottery, and silk production. The art of writing existed in ancient China as well. The script was pictographic, not alphabetic. Later it developed into an ideographic script. Chinese formulated a calendar in which year consists of 365.5 days. Analyze the progress achieved by the Bronze Age civilization in the field of science and mathematics. മുകളിൽ സയൻസും മാത്തമാറ്റിക്സിൻ്റെയും കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത് എല്ലാ സിവിലൈസേഷനിൽ നിന്ന് നോക്കി എഴുതി പൂർത്തിയാക്കുക. ഇനി നമുക്ക് ഇതിൻ്റെ മുഴുവനും ചേർത്തുള്ള ഒരു പട്ടിക പരിചയപ്പെടാം. Indus Valley, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Chinese river. Indus and its tributary, Egyptian Nile, Mesopotamian Euphrates and Tigris, Chinese Huanghe. Indusലെ art of writing, script in seals. ഈജിപ്തിലെ hieroglyphics, Mesopotamian cuneiform, ചൈനയിലെ pictographic. ഈ 3 സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റുകൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് എഴുതുന്നതെന്നുള്ളൊരു വീഡിയോയുടെ ലിങ്ക് താഴെ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷനിൽ നൽകിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, കണ്ടു നോക്കുക. അതുപോലെ ഒക്യുപ്പേഷൻ, അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ, ആനിമൽ ഹസ്ബൻഡറി, ഹാൻഡിക്രാഫ്റ്റ്. ഈജിപ്തിൽ അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ, വീവിംഗ് ആൻഡ് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ഗ്ലാസ് വെയർ. മെസപ്പൊട്ടോമിയയിൽ അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ. ചൈനയിൽ അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ, വീവിംഗ്, മേക്കിംഗ് പോട്ടറി, സിൽക്ക് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ. അതുപോലെ ഇൻഡസിലെ സ്കൾപ്ചർ, ഹാൻഡിക്രാഫ്റ്റ്. ദ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ബാത്ത്, ഗ്രാനറി, ഡ്രെയിനേജ് സിസ്റ്റം, അസംബ്ലി ഹാൾ, സീൽസ്, ക്ലേ ഫിഗേഴ്സ്. ഈജിപ്തിൽ പിരമിഡ്, സ്ഫിങ്സ്. മെസപ്പൊട്ടോമിയയിൽ സിഗ്രാത്ത്. ചൈനയിലൊന്നും കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. സയൻസ്, മാത്തമെറ്റിക്സ്. ഇൻഡസിൻ്റെതൊന്നും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല. ഈജിപ്തിൽ കാൽക്കുലേറ്റ് ദ ഏരിയ ഓഫ് ട്രയാങ്കിൾസ് ആൻഡ് റെക്ടാങ്കിൾസ്, യൂസ് ഓഫ് സൺഡയൽ ആൻഡ് വാട്ടർ ക്ലോക്ക്. മെസപ്പൊട്ടോമിയ ഡിവിഷൻ, മൾട്ടിപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ആൻഡ് സ്ക്വയർ റൂട്ട്. ചൈനയിലത് കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. കലണ്ടർ. ഇൻഡസിലത് കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. ഈജിപ്തിൽ എ സോളാർ കലണ്ടർ ഇയർ ഹാഡ് 365 ഡേയ്സ്. എ ഇയർ വാസ് ഡിവൈഡഡ് ഇൻ 12 months ഓഫ് 30 days ഈച്ച്. മെസപ്പൊട്ടോമിയയിൽ മൂവ്മെൻറ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ മൂൺ, ഇയർ ഇൻറ്റു 12 months, എ മന്ത് ഇൻറ്റു 4 weeks ആൻഡ് എ ഡേ ഇൻറ്റു 24 hours. ചൈനയിൽ എ ഇയർ കൺസിസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് 365.5 days.